and welcome to another episode of Power On Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Taylor, and with me, as always, is the irreplaceable, I don't want to say irresponsible because that's not right.
Sometimes.
Sushi. That's the only thing that came to mind when I said irreplaceable was irresponsible. And irregular. There we go. That's what I want. The irregular Sushi B. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. What's going on, Taylor?
Not too bad. I personally just got back from a trip to Tokyo.
Yep.
Yeah. So I just got back from Tokyo and had fun.
Nice. Yeah, good to hear.
Fun. So, how about yourself?
Not too much. Just getting ready for the show, and that's about it.
Yeah. So, all right. And with us is the other host. Think of words. The unobtainable.
The unobtainable.
The illustrious.
The gorgeous.
The gorgeous. The sensuous. Greg, how you doing?
I thought you were going to go with irresponsible, and that's kind of...
No, because we didn't go with the ear word. It's just the ear words. This is... I didn't start with ear. That's why I went for un. So you got the un.
You versus un.
How are you doing?
I'm doing a lot better. I got past the flu, and now I'm able to speak and smell and do other stuff without keeling over, so...
Normally body functions have returned.
Yeah. True normality has been reestablished.
There you go. So, yeah, with today's episode is different than all the rest. Ha 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 ha. And not to say that we don't try to do something different with the other ones, but yeah, this one here is all about our favorite handheld. Maybe not. Maybe you have a different favorite handheld, but this is definitely one that we really like, and that is, of course, the Sega Nomad.
Come on.
Kidding aside, no, we actually, this is kind of a tribute podcast episode to the PSP, or the PSP, the PlayStation Portable, because we love the PlayStation Portable, don't we, guys?
Yeah, I've actually got a good story about it. Because I've owned a few PSPs in my time, and I absolutely love the system. However, I actually, at first, didn't. I mean, this is way back when it got released. I got a 1000 when it was first released, and I don't know, for some odd reason, the games weren't resonating with me, and I actually sold my first PSP. But thanks to good old Hideo Kojima making a Metal Gear game on there, and that was more Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops, I got another one. And then just, I don't know, it just started to, there's a big trend of just all these great games for the PSP just starting to be released after that, and I just fell in love with the system.
Nice.
And now I've got a 1000 and a 3000, so...
Are they both the same color?
Yes. Black.
No. Black. As your heart!
As my heart.
I see. How about yourself, Sushi? How did you kind of get onto the PSP, or the PSP? I'm going to stop saying that because I want to punch myself for saying that. How did you get started on the PSP?
I started shortly after it came out. I actually got a Japanese Model 1000 when it, I don't know how long it had been out for, but I bought it in May of 2006. So shortly after the North American release, I guess. And, I had the 1000 for a really long time, and it was serving me really well. And I was actually traveling through Australia at the time. It actually just eventually died out on me. And luckily I bought a 3000 shortly before that when I was in a stopover in Hong Kong for a little while. And I decided to pick up a new one just because the 1000 is kind of bulky, and I was kind of thinking it might actually crap out on me. And I got really lucky, and I replaced it with a very nice 3000. So, yeah, this is just a short story for me.
Why am I not surprised your 1000 crapped down in Australia?
That doesn't surprise me. Yeah, the battery was definitely starting to go on it, though. It was starting to give me very few hours of playtime when it wasn't being charged. So, It was inevitable for sure.
Yeah,
What color are you rocking there?
Same as Greg. I've only got the 2 black ones.
Jesus, you people.
I was gonna get a different color. I was thinking of maybe the green one, but I just decided to stick with the black.
it's sad to hear about your 1000 crapping out now. My problem is my 1000. It's not dead yet. However, the power on trigger is very loose. So trying to switch it off completely and just putting on sleep mode is a big pain in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got 2 different functions for both. I mainly use my 3000 nowadays. I use my 1000 for certain other things, but I won't get into that.
Hmm.
Huh. I see. Yeah, I myself, I didn't own one for a very long time. One of my really good friends, he bought one for the sole reason that you could get it to where you could put ROMs on it and play ROMs off of it.
Oh
So
well,
this
you
is
just
the 1000.
you just said it for me.
Well, there you go. That's what Greg is. Greg is a evil person. Yeah, my friend, he did that, and so I tried it when I asked him if I could kind of try it, because we've been roommates for a while too, for different years and stuff, and I thought, oh, this is a pretty cool system and stuff, but I didn't really have the money to buy one, and nor did I really have the time to when I was in college. I then came over here to start working, and I want to say I went shopping at Toys R Us to buy gifts for my siblings, and I saw E7 sitting there, and I was like, what the is this? You know, and it's like I really hadn't been doing too horribly much gaming, and I was like, oh, this is cool, E7 for the PSP, and I picked it up, and I've loved it ever since. I had to replace mine, unfortunately, because it's got some. I did something to it. I don't know if my fat ass sat on it or what, but the part of the screen cracked, and then it turned all discolored and ruined the screen, and so I had to replace it. But yeah, and mine is the cobalt blue, because I don't like black for the PSP. I don't know. I don't know. I wanted some vibrancy to it, a little bit of color, and white doesn't appeal to me. So
No, brighter colors, especially white, just don't do well as around the borders of a device. It just, I don't know, takes you out a little bit.
yeah, that it feels like it could get dirty really easy.
Mm.
That doesn't bother me so much, but I can see why people might not be too keen on that. So, but yeah, I really enjoy the PSP. Yeah, that's it, guys. Good eye. The end.
I concur.
But no, actually, real quickly, I wanted to kind of point out some things about the PSP, if you guys don't mind.
Go for it.
Okay, so it originally came out. I'm just giving the North American one. Actually, I don't know all 3 of them. But it originally came out in North America on March 24th, 2005.
Mm-hmm.
In Japan, it came out December 12th, 2004, and I believe the PAL region it came out 2005 on September 1st.
Yep.
And worldwide, it has sold like a lot. It has sold over 76 million units. So I believe it actually has outsold the 360, if I recall. Which, if that's the case, make your face 360.
Yeah.
So,
we can establish that there was a ton more RPGs than the 360.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, kidding aside, or am I? There's yeah, as you mentioned before, there's the 1000, 2000, 3000, and there's also the illustrious gold version, which is just so crappy. So we're not even going to talk about that one. That was kind of like a misstep. We'll just leave that one. Oh, well, actually, it could be brought up. But anywho, best selling game on there. Do you guys know what's the best selling game on there?
Oh,
1000.
yeah, it's easy.
What is it?
It's got to be Monster Hunter.
Which one?
How many are there? I don't even know.
I don't know.
Well, it's got to be one of the Monster Hunter games.
It's Monster Hunter
it's a huge
Portable.
freaking deal.
Rude. Monster Hunter Portable 3rd. So yes, that's the best-selling one. Yes.
I only recall that Crisis Core is really high up on the list of games sold for the PSP. I think it sold a shit ton of PSPs in North America.
Mm-hmm. Metal Gear might have as well.
Probably
One of the Metal Gear games might be up there.
Peace Walker might have helped because Peace
Yeah.
Walker is pretty excellent.
Mm.
So,
Abs-
I'm sorry, Greg.
No, I'm just saying Peace Walker is excellent. It's excellent. Because it's Peace Walker.
It's Peace Walker, exactly. That, of course, the PSP, like the 360 as well as the PS3 and the Wii to some extent, all have, like, there's so many crazy different themed special editions of it. It's absurd.
Yeah.
It's really absurd. So, yeah. I don't know. Let's roll out. What do you guys want to talk about for the PSP? Let's give it its love, our devotion, our bodies.
I've got a weird. It's just a list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait a segue. All right.
Even though I wanted to do most things off the cuff, I actually had a list of games released for the PSP, and these are games that are either ports, remakes, or compilation packs for the PSP. Because I noticed right off the cuff of the PSP that there was a lot of games being remade for it. Like the first year you saw Tales of Eternia, which was a straight sort of near port from the PS1 version, and then there was Medieval Resurrection, of course, which was a remake of the PS1 game, which is a really great platformer that not many people talk about. But I just keep noticing throughout the years I had my PSP that there's just a lot of remakes, a lot of ports, more than any other system or handheld. So I comprised this giant list that I'm going to fire away. So everyone better prepare themselves. Strap your seats in.
My body is ready.
Yeah. Make sure you don't have any hot beverages so you don't spill on your crotch.
Oh god.
Alrighty, let's get the ball started. NES to PSP, we've got Mega Man Powered Up, which of course is a cheapified remake of the very first Mega Man.
Yep.
Star Soldier, which was released on the NES and the MSX, got a remake on the PSP.
Snaps.
Then you got, of course, now this one's a bit of a cop-out, but because it had sort of a special sheen of the graphics, that's Final Fantasy 1 and 2. Now, that's been on a lot of things.
Well, they added some more to it from what they had with the PlayStation version. I believe there's an extra, whatever, I don't care, but... That's right, I don't care for the extras, goddammit. But, there's that extra, like, super duper extra dungeons and stuff that are supposed to be a lot harder.
Because before the PSP, there was the GBA versions.
And the PS1 version, which was, I think, just, the PS1 was just an enhanced version of it. And there's the PSP version, and then the
Wonder Swan?
Wonder Swan. There's just, it's just too goddamn many. Anywho.
Yeah, so PSP versions are still, and they're the versions that I played. And next up, we've got the PC Engine to PSP, and Hudson Soft was very generous and gave a lot of collections. There's the Soldier Collection, there's the Tengai Makio Far East of Eden Collection, which I
have is pretty nice.
I still need to get it. It's really good value for money. And then you got the Ginga Ojo-sama Densetsu Collection, which is another shmup. There's Castlevania Dracula X Chronicles, of course it's a compilation pack, and ultimately it's a remake of Rondo of Blood from the PC Engine, which is pretty cool. And of course there is a port of Tameki Memorial, I just wanted to throw in there. Oh dear. Alright, quickly, next is the SNES to PSP, and you've got Mega Man Maverick Hunter X, of course, which is a remake of Mega Man X.
Yep.
And then you've got Star Ocean 1, which of course was meant to be similar to Star Ocean 2.
Which is kind of nice because that eventually got overseas so that Western audiences could actually experience it for the first time, even though I don't like the way that they did it.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. It took me a while for it to beat. I had to play through before I could finally beat it, but it was nice that it was available for the entire world. Next up, of course, is a game I don't like talking about, the Tales of Fantasia. I noticed that the best looking version is on the PSP. It looks really nice. sort of borrows the same engine from Eternia and Rebirth, looks really cool. And next up is Tactics Ogre. That's been on a couple of systems, mind you, in Japan. It was originally on the SNES, and then went on the Saturn, I think the PlayStation. But then it had probably the most accessible was on the PSP. And lastly is Final Fantasy IV. Had a very nice collection on the PSP with the original, interlude, and after years.
There's there's a bunch of others. If I remember correctly, I think also the old Tactics also made it.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it's on the
PSP. That's on my list ahead of the PS1.
Oh, you're okay. I see. You're just talking to the SNES one.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Next up, very quickly, is the Saturn to PSP, which shocked me because I think the Saturn was just unpro. You know, it's one of those things you could not crack. So I'm led to believe that they kind of remade these games from the ground up and just resembled them. And of course, there's Shin Megami Tensei Devil Summoner. For anyone who just got Soul Hackers, this is the game before Soul Hackers. And that got ported to the PSP. Then Princess Crown, which was Vanillaware's first major game, that got ported to the PSP from the Saturn. And then Tengai Makio 4th The Apocalypse, which was originally a Saturn game, got ported to the PSP, which is pretty cool. Now, getting to the meat of everything is the PS1 to PSP, which kind of made the most sense. And they kind of stopped doing this after they just started, putting digital copies of PS1 games on the PSP. But first up, of course, the best one is Suikoden 1 and 2. It's a really good pack. Shame it never got stateside. It probably would have been the greatest thing on the PSP. And then you got Tales of Eternia, which was probably the first major RPG that was released for the system, in the PAL regions at least. And then Valkyria Profile, Breath of Fire 3, Popol LaCroix. For anyone who doesn't know, Popol LaCroix was originally a PS1 game in Japan, and Popol LaCroix on the PSP is a compilation, I think, of Popol LaCroix 1 and 2. I still need to look into that. Of course, Star Ocean 2 was originally a PS1 game, then got ported to the PSP in great fashion. One I still need to get is Rockman Dash 1 and 2.
Yeah, there's an awesome value pack.
Yeah, on the PSP. It's just really cool. And again, shame that Capcom didn't translate that.
Shame on Capcom in general.
One of the first games, Street Fighter Alpha 3, of course, came from the PS1, even though it was on the arcade. So I'm just going to go PS1. And of course, as Taylor already said, I'm getting to there. And of course, Taylor already mentioned Final Fantasy Tactics was originally on the PS1, went on to the PSP. Really good version. Alrighty, quickly now to the Dreamcast ports. There is Power Stone Collection, and I just want to quickly say, it's not a good conversion. I love Power Stone. I've played them both on the Dreamcast, and they're wonderful games. And then I went on the PSP, and there's tremendous amounts of lag. So it's the originals are still the best. And Sakura Wars 1 and 2. Now, they were originally released for the Saturn, but the PSP collection more harkens to the DS re-releases. Sorry, the Dreamcast re-releases. So I put that in there. Now, the PS2 to PSP, and these are more portable versions, as you already mentioned. Monster Hunter Freedom 1 and 2 is just portable versions of Monster Hunter 1 and 2 on the PS2. There's Shadow of Memories, which was a adventure sort of point-and-click game from Konami. And NIS America basically took a lot of their games like Disgaea, Phantom Brave, and other games, and they put them on the PSP. And so did Gus. They put a lot of the old Atelier games on the PSP as well, and Monochromia. Now, the weirdest one is GBA to PSP, and it's mainly Steam games I'm going to tell off here. Is Riviera and Yggdra Union. Both games established on the GBA got PSP versions, which is pretty cool. And this is one that me and the good sir would agree with, and that's PC to PSP, and pretty much listed all the Falcom games. East 1 and 2, Iso from Colgana, Trails in the Sky. Yes, we've got to keep telling people that Trails in the Sky was originally a PC game that got ported to the PSP.
And the games before that, you've got the other
Yeah,
Eiyuden Setsu Legend of Hero
the
game.
Gaga trilogy, yeah. Which I'm slowly going through. And then you got Guruman and Spy. So it's really cool.
And you also forgot the PC hentai game that came out on the PS2. That's what is that? Utawareru Mono. That was originally a PC hentai game that actually went from the PS2 to the PSP.
We'll get into that in a while, but not necessarily the hentai film. But,
Just saying, it's got good music.
yeah, I watched the anime.
Just
It does have good music. Alrighty, so that goes the system-to-system ports. Now I'm going to talk about general compilation packs just to round it off. There was some great compilation packs that was available for the PSP. Of course, it's the Sega Mega Drive collection. Even though that's been on a few, it's really good.
So you have that, don't you, Sushi?
Yeah, I've got that one.
Okay.
It's good. It has a decent version of Fantasy Star 4. I think the one on the PS2 has the audio problems. But yeah, really, really cool to have in the PSP and in your pocket. Capcom Classics Reloaded Remixed. I played both of them. They run fantastic on the PSP. And you got stuff like, Ghosts and Goblins. The fantasy beat-em-ups like King of Dragons and Knights of the Round run really good on the PSP. I highly recommend those. There's the Capcom Puzzle World, the Atari Classics Evolve, the Activision Hits Remix. There is even a compilation that EA released called EA Replay. And I can easily say that the only good game on there is Road Rash. Now, my favorite company, Konami, released a lot of collections on the PSP, mainly shmups. You've got the Salamander Portable Collection, you've got the Twin Bee Collection, and of course, my favorite shoot-'em-up of all time, the Parodius Portable Collection. Need to get that, because I've been dying to play some Parodius. Especially sexy Parodius. Oh dear. It's a good game. It's a
Oh dear.
Anyway, there's also the Gradius Collection, the Metal Slug Anthology, Namco Museum 1 and 2, Midway Arcade Treasures, the SNK Classics Volume 1, and then they actually released an SNK Arcade Classics 0 like 5 years afterwards that never got a English release. But the good thing is, because they're old arcade games, you don't really need to have them translated. You pretty much just import and play them on the go. And just quickly, the last off is the Taito Legends Power Up and the Taito Memories Pocket. And actually, no, lastly, there's also the Samurai Showdown Anthology, which I own. And I can easily say it's got 6 games on there, and the first games run beautifully, but the last 3 games run like shithouse. Especially Samurai Showdown 6. It's fucking horrid on the PSP. I kept making those slow down voices every time I played the game. It's really bad. I do not recommend anyone get the anthology pack for the last 3 games. Because I don't know. I think it was a PS2 game or something, and just PSP just didn't have the RAM to deal with it. Yeah, running on that good old UMD.
Yep.
Now that's something that the system gets a lot of flack, is the UMD. Personally, I like the UMD. I think it's cool.
It's a nice little system if people don't blame the hardware, the software, blame the developers. that don't.
Well, I don't know. It's nice because it's compact and it's got the little plastic casing around it, so it's not. You're not as prone to. Because if it was just the mini disc itself without that little plastic, that would be horrendous.
Yeah, like a GameCube disc.
Yeah,
it would be like that kind of.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought I said that too when I first bought it. I thought it was really cool to encase it in plastic, so it just save the game more. And just have that little groove where it can read it as it spins. I thought that was really ingenious.
Right.
I think though Sony had good intentions and bad intentions. Like UMD took off with games, but I think their plans of UMD video just never.
Yeah, that went down pretty fast.
It never came to fruition. And I actually bought a few UMD videos, like I got Paprika, the anime Paprika, that's pretty cool. and Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
That's random. I have two myself. I've got Knocking on Heaven's Door, Cowboy Bebop movie, and The Legend of Drunken Master 2.
Oh, nice. Now that's a random.
Pretty random.
Yeah, that's random, but god damn it, do I love me some Jackie Chan.
Mm.
But yeah. How about yourself, Sushi?
I'll throw a few things in there. I don't
Profuse you.
own any of the movies. I remember seeing some really bizarre movies, though. I was like, that's really weird that that's on there. Wasn't Pearl Harbor on there?
I know Spider-Man was on.
I think Spider-Man was on there. I think you're right.
Oh,
I think
that
was
was
one of the big ones they tried to push.
Mm.
that was about the time where Sony was obsessed with Spider-Man in just so many different ways, and that's where you got the PS3 logo that looks horrid.
Right. Well, it is their movie franchise, technically. So, a couple, though, Greg. Did you mention that Lunar has been ported to the PSP?
Yeah,
It's soulless.
it's one of those things like Final Fantasy. At first I didn't want to mention Final Fantasy because there's been so many different versions, and it was sort of the same for Lunar.
Right.
I was very close to putting it on the list as a good remake. So
Persona?
Persona, yeah, actually, no, you're right. Persona 1 and Persona 2, both versions.
Yeah, and Outrun Coast to Coast, 2006 Coast to Coast was basically just a remake.
I was going to put that on there, but of course it's on the Xbox and the PS2 as well. So kind of.
But those weren't remakes. Those are just ports of the arcade version. But anyways, Nights in the Nightmare.
Yeah, that's more just
a
port.
Kind of weird one. Yeah.
But yeah, you're right about that. Nights in the Nightmare.
Yeah. The only thing is, you mentioned Riviera, which is a weird one, because that started on the Wonder Swan, if I remember.
Yeah, I wasn't too sure about that. When I was doing the list, it's like, I'm very sure Riviera was on something else. I think I mistook it with River King or something like that, because I know River King was way back before then, so...
Yeah, it's pretty weird that they just ended up porting that, to the GBA and then to the PSP, just kind of upgrading it each time is really strange.
I think, it might have been on the ones. I think you're definitely right there. So.
Yeah. Not a bad game. I've only played the GBA one, but it's interesting.
So, just to round it off, PSP is just a glorious system of remakes, ports, and collection packs. I still, like, some of the collection packs I mentioned, I need to get them. I mean, seriously, if you own them all, you got a little mini collection just to have all them. Because if you get all those anthologies, collection packs, you've got well over 200 games.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
I think that's where, I guess, we've kind of talked about this a little bit before, not on like the podcast and stuff, but it seems that the PSP just never really gets the attention that I think it deserves. I don't know. It seems that it always kind of gets, it's the PSP. Kind of like the Vita now. Oh, it's the Vita.
Right.
It might be kind of shiny, but it don't got no games. But I don't know. I mean, just right there, you have these collection packs, and people are going to be like, oh, well, I could get it on X system. But for those who can't get it on that system, or want a portable way of being able to play it, there's really nothing wrong with it. I don't see an issue with ports. I mean, I don't see is there something really bad about it? People want backwards compatibilities for things. Why is having a port such a horrible thing?
It's not a thing. It gives people another chance to play it.
Exactly.
Right. So, low cost for the company usually to bring something back. Fans usually want it. Yeah,
the hardcore fans will want to see the differences.
Exactly. So I think that the PSP kind of, especially out west, it got shelved a little too early for people, and just didn't quite get the attention it needed and deserved.
Luckily, it's got some minor support. I should know. I'm playing the latest game that got released on PSN, and that's Black Rock Shooter. Even though that got released in Japan, I think about a year or two ago.
A little delayed.
Yeah. It's actually not a bad game, actually. It's very weird, but I'm enjoying it. Really good music. The guys at Image Epoch know how to do music.
Well, I don't know. There's that. There are some things that I kind of fault for the PSP. I think the speakers kind of suck.
Yeah.
I don't think the speakers are very good for it. It kind of shows when you try to turn it up when you're playing certain games that it's even if you don't have it full blast, if you only put it up partial way, it feels like it's already well past its limits, and it's kind of like
It's definitely a system for the good old earphones. I think I've gone through about 5. Because I actually use my PSP for music. It's my portable music player.
And that's another thing, because it has the flash memory. You can put in music if you want to, or pictures. I think you can take pictures and throw pictures on there, right?
Yeah, I think you needed the camera for that. It was a extra feature.
Right.
It didn't get installed until I can't remember if the Go's got it or something. I don't know because it's a freaking Go. I'm glad that thing remains a mystery to me.
As you guys said, you can watch movies on it. I think having that is, some people, for its time, you got to remember this thing originally came out back near 8-9 years ago. That's a long time ago. And it was doing all this kind of wacky fun stuff, and it still amazes me that, I don't know, like nowadays you have so much other nonsense that's just like, it feels a little dated, because it is, darn it.
I think that's how Sony marketed as this universal media device in the country, instead of just saying it's a game handheld, it does all this and this. That was their main focus.
Right. That's probably part of the problem, right, is the DS and the GBA were able to corner the market for sort of kids-tailored devices, right? They were really able to say, well, look, your kids can sit in the back of the car and play the DS and blah, blah, blah. Sony wasn't really able to do that. They wanted to market this as being a little bit more mature, and that probably hurt them a lot in the long run.
It's probably because of those damn squirrel commercials. They had when they were releasing the PSP, and at least in the States, they have this really stupid commercials with these like hand-drawn sketches of squirrels talking about nuts or something. I don't know. It was dumb. It was the dumbest thing that well, maybe not the dumbest, but I lost brain cells.
Bad marketing.
It's just you just kind of like it's one of the things that you watch, and then if you had something like that. For example, if I had bought a PSP and then saw that commercial, I would have been embarrassed. Like, this is, like, the product is being shown off like this. I feel really silly right now. That's, I don't know, that was kind of how it felt to me. Mm-hmm. So definitely, their marketing could have been a little bit better than trying the old, we're so cool and hip and rad, dudes, check this out.
It's sad because they're still kind of doing that with the Vita. And we know better. We know that the system's going to have some really good games eventually.
Has good games now. What are you talking
about? No. More than what's already there. Now, there is some really good games out for the Vita, but we're not talking about the Vita. We're talking about its older brother, the PSP.
And I also like the fact that you can download from the PSN and then transfer those PSN downloads to the PSP and then play them from there. I really enjoy that ability of it because I personally, even though I have a TV, I don't like to play games on my TV all the time. I like to, because if I want to go somewhere, I have to ride a train somewhere. So I'd be like, oh, well, you know what, I'm going to play this on the train for a little bit or something.
Right.
And I know everybody can't do that, but even when I'm home sometimes, I just don't like to be stuck on a couch having to play a game or something. At the TV, I like to kind of meander around or just kind of set it down, and even though I might have the game still running, I might go off and do something else for the time being in the house, and it's just kind of like, it's nice to keep... It's nice not to have it constrained to the TV, so being able to take PSN downloads and throw them onto there, and just kind of like, okay, I can play some random PSN game I downloaded that I may never have played before and whatnot. So
right,
you can take screenshots. Yeah, screenshots.
And it's really true, though, if you're going to be doing any sort of traveling on an airplane or whatever. I like the DS. I do like it, but I'd always have to carry all of my games around. It's not that big a deal, but there was always this nice feeling of just like, okay, I'm in a hurry. I don't really have time to pick out all these DS games. I can just grab my PSP because I have PS1 games already on there or whatever, and I've got at least one UMD worth of games in there as well. And then I can just go and I've got maybe 20, 30 games on, if you have a big enough memory stick, and you're just ready to go. You don't have any issues of like, well, do I take this game or not? Or
Right.
I personally really like that about the PSP, and I know the 3DS is now doing that, which is really awesome too. But I don't know. Nothing on the 3DS from at least the Virtual Console has really got me to buy it yet. Maybe partly because I've bought some of those games on the Wii. I don't know if you can transfer them to 3DS. I don't think you can.
No, I agree with you. The eShop's just, I don't know. It just pales in comparison compared to the PSN.
Yeah, I have no clue. I've never actually really tested it out to try.
I've never tried it, so.
Probably not, knowing Nintendo. Oh, Nintendo. And but that was another thing too, is that Greg actually has experience in this. I don't know if he wants to talk about it, but I've had experience in this as well, where you can download it from a different region and still be able to play a game.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody could download something for you, and then they could actually be like, hey, because you can't play this for whatever reason, boom, here's the ability to play this. I know it sounds a little shady, but I mean, it in a way you can kind of see it as being gifted a game, because I know that is feasible, possible. Because somebody did buy it, they bought it for the intentions of you to play it. So
yeah, it's very wishy-washy. It's
very wishy-washy.
It's not entirely shady, but it's right as well. It's very difficult to try and say that, but you pretty much said it in a nutshell, which is, I can't wait till Sony fucking realize it and make the PSN international. They'll never do it, but
right.
to give
I don't
people
think they can, though. That's
but they can. They won't. They can, but they won't. It's just
can they?
Well, if it's already programmed into the initial hardware, why would they?
Well, the PSN isn't hardware; it's all
No.
the internet.
Yeah. It's just so weird that if you buy an Australian system and then if you
With the Vita, they keep you from doing that, though. They don't allow you to. I don't think you're allowed to transfer anything that's not from your account specifically.
It's done by the memory card, which I actually found out today that you can only have one account per one memory card. You can't have five Vita cards and have them all linked to the one account, which is really bullshit. So anyone who's going to get a Vita, get the biggest fucking memory card you can buy. That's all I'm going to say.
And that's, I guess, a really great benefit about the PSP is that it has this kind of like, oh, I'm international. You can, you can play if you want to. You can buy a Japanese PSP game and play me off of that.
Well, aside from PSN, I think that was the greatest feature of the PSP, was able to play any UMD game from any region. I loved that, especially being a Falcom fan. I was a Falcom fan before the events of XC came to fruition, and I was like, you know what, I love Falcom so much, I'm going to buy all their games in Japanese. And, around the time when I was falling in love with my PSP, they announced E7 in Japan, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so good, I'm glad I got my PSP. So, yeah, it was a system that catered to my needs and the games that I liked. I mean, seriously, as I mentioned before on the podcast, the only reason I need to buy a system is Metal Gear. And what did I read? A Metal Gear game that's a sequel to Snake Eater. That was Portable Ops, and I was like, all right, I'm buying another PSP. Just for that alone. I'm glad I did. I'm really glad I did. I would have regretted if I didn't get back into the PSP.
Now, there's a couple... outside of the speakers kind of being a little there's a couple other issues that I have with the PSP. Personally, I don't like how the buttons down at the bottom are. They're little, it's not the, it's more so like the start and select, if you ever need to use the start and select buttons, which a lot of games nowadays don't seem to use start and select. Or if you want to like hit some of the other buttons, it's a little, I don't know, it's a little hard just because they're so tiny and down at the bottom. If you want to try to change your volume, you might hit a different button, and then you're kind of fumbling for it a little bit. Or if you're trying to mute it for whatever reason, if somebody's trying to ask you a question or something, or you're trying to change, you might hit the brightness instead and stuff. I kind of don't like that. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I don't remember having too much of an issue with that.
I don't know. It's just I don't.
I've actually scratched that. I didn't have an issue with that. I was the what do you call that button? Not the star and select, but the one below the D-pad, near the D-pad.
You're talking the joystick?
The XN.
The PSN, that button, PSN button.
Yeah, that takes you back into the main menu.
The home button or whatever.
Home button. I've hit that before.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's just kind of a little. Plus, I don't like how the headphone jack is where it's at, down at the bottom, right by the D-pad and the joystick.
Right.
Because if you have those kind of headphones that just have the straight head jack, they don't have, if they're not bent or like they have an elbow to them, so you're kind of like stuck with this thing kind of sticking out right into your hand maybe or something if you're trying to hold on to it. I mean, that's kind of nitpicky, but it is a little kind of like, really could have been somewhere a little more convenient, but yeah.
Like, maybe they wanted you to buy, they had those Sony PSP headphones, right, that had like the little clip part that sat right in there. It still stuck out a little bit, but I know the 1000 had that. I don't know if the later models did as well.
I have no idea.
They did do some special editions. I think Peace Walker had some pretty nifty headphones, from what I gathered. They were very expensive too.
So surprised me. Special edition. But yeah, like I don't know, like where would you put the PSP for kind of in the echelon of handhelds? Is it would you guys say it's your favorite, or kind of like it's really good, but I like this one better, or what?
It ties with the Vita because I fall in love with the Vita. It's pretty much the same, which is kind of right because the same field. It's kind of like the same back in the day when I loved the Mega Drive and the Sega Saturn. I kind of compare it to that.
Okay.
I don't love the Mega Drive and the Sega Saturn better than each other, and it's kind of the same with the PSP and the Vita.
I love you both equally.
I mean, but yeah, there's so much on the Vita that I, love now, and then so much on the. I mean, I'm still playing PSP games on my Vita, so that's how good the the PSP is.
How about yourself there, Sushi? How do you feel about the PSP?
It's a tough call. I mean, I had the DS just before I got the PSP, and I really liked the DS, and I still like it. But, it took a long time. I liked the PSP. I just had a small handful of games for the longest time, though. It took a long time for me to really, kind of like Greg, really get into it to the point of where I actually really felt like my purchase was worthwhile. I mean, to this day, I still have way more DS games. But on the same point, I'm still playing my PSP. I do play the DS once in a while, but I don't know, I kind of just like buy the odd DS game here and there still, but they just kind of sit on the shelf. Whereas the PSP games have been sitting on the shelf for a long time, and now I'm just like, I've got to get through all these games. Like when I look at them, I'm just like, okay, I need to do that one and that one. And I've just really enjoyed playing the PSP a lot kind of after life. I know there's still very, very few games that are trickling out for it. It's pretty much dead at this point, but now's an excellent time if you don't have a PSP, like not to break off too much, but it's an excellent time to go and find some games for it because they're going to be cheap. I don't know how much the system costs, but it can't be that expensive. And you can probably find tons of games.
I will say this though, there's a huge safeguard in this era where if a system does eventually die off and you can't find some games in the hard copy, back in the day, you're pretty much screwed. But now, because of PSN, you've always got that other choice where if you can't find a game out in the wild, you can find it on PSN.
Right. Usually they're a little cheaper on there, too.
Yeah, I've started to notice they're cutting back on the price of the PSN games versions, which is really good, which,
right.
Which is kind of how it should be.
Well, yeah. I think they were almost on par for a long time.
Right.
There is some games that have ridiculous amounts. I think there was that Neo Geo shmup game that still was like $40
on PSN.
Yeah, on the American PSN, yeah.
Oh wow, that's pretty high.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen a lot of them have dropped down to $9.99 on there. So
Yeah, I'm eyeing Hexy's Force, which was a Sting RPG on the PSP
mm.
exclusive. It looks really good. I keep saying to myself the visuals remind me of Grandia 2.
And yeah, and that's a good point that you bring up about that is that we're at that age where some of the older generations actually, even though if you come to the party late like I did, never fear because you're able to kind of access these games through the PSN and don't have to deal with evil scalper gamer people
Right.
who jack up prices to things. So, or if you're just in a very arid area when it comes to finding games.
Right.
But yeah, that's yeah. Is there any kind of specific PSP games that you like? Oh my god, you have to play. Recommendations for PSP.
Okay, wait. First, I have a really
First.
interesting thing. You know how Greg was mentioning remakes and ports and collections?
Okay.
The PSP is a bit weird. There have actually been ports from the PSP to go back to the PS2. I don't know if you guys have ever seen any of these or come across some of these. This is a really weird thing for me to think about this.
I had a little mini list of those, but I didn't sort of wanted to mention it. But
All right,
I know
you probably got more than me then, Greg, because I've just done these off the top of my head that I can think of. The 2 GTA games that came out on the PSP ended up on the PS2. The Ratchet and Clank Size Matters game ended up on the PS2. Silent Hill Origins ended up on the PS2. Secret Agent Clank, PS2. I'm pretty sure that one Daxter game ended up on the PS2 as well.
I'm not sure about that.
I'm not sure, but I think it might have. I could be wrong. I definitely could be wrong.
Definitely no. The 2 God of War games.
They showed up on the PS3 for sure. I don't know if they went on the PS2.
And then the other one, of course, which was Monster Hunter 3 Portable, got a HD version, and that's the main thing. A lot of they're going to predict there's going to be a few PSP games that are going to get remade for the PS3 in the future.
Yeah, it's really interesting that the PSP does have some games that were exclusives for it and have been able to go back. And I find the PS2 one really interesting just to think of like how the PSP kind of was on par with the PS2 in a lot of ways when it came to the graphical capabilities and such. And for them to go back as sort of budget versions on the PS2 to kind of extend the life of the PS2 is really neat.
It was. And there's a lot of people there's a lot of people that are sort of up in arms against those games being on the PSP. Boo-hoo for them. But
right.
The companies heard them and then threw them a bone and put them on the PS2. So
I'm sure part of it was the PSP at the time was not doing so hot, and it's taken a long time for it to pick up steam. And they were probably like, well, we need to recoup a bit of losses, and this is maybe something easy they could put together. Possibly. I don't know if that's for sure the reason, but I wouldn't doubt if that's part of it.
No, I wouldn't doubt it either.
Snaps. Yeah, okay, then before the recommendation bits there, the ergonomics of the controller, or the system itself, how well does it fit in your hands? I guess, for lack of a better word. Yeah, how do you guys feel that it kind of is in your hands? You think it's all right? You got beef with something there? Or what's your guys' thoughts on it?
D-pad's a little mushy.
Yeah, I can see that. It's not very clickety click.
No, it's a little weird, especially when you start pushing down to the bottom left or bottom right. It's not doesn't seem to move very well sometimes.
I didn't have too much of an issue. I've always said to myself the 1000 was the most heaviest handheld I ever played, and I never got to play the Game Gear, a physical Game Gear.
The Lynx!
Or the Lynx, which I heard wins
Lynx is
the
huge.
The Lynx wins the pennant, I heard.
It's a big one.
So, yeah, but the 3000's amazing. It's probably one of the best designed handhelds of all time. It's so sleek, so light. It just feels really good in your hand, especially when you're playing something like E7 that requires a lot of fast movement.
Yeah, I like how for the most part the buttons are and everything. I don't want to say my hands aren't like super duper massive or anything, so it's not like I'm a giant holding a child's toy or something. So it fits nicely in the hands there. maybe it could, like, even though I've only dealt with the 3000 one, how much thicker is the 1000 compared to...
It's quite a bit fatter.
Is it? Because I don't quite remember. Yeah, I just played the 3000 so much that I've kind of grown accustomed to this one, so...
I mean, the battery size was even bigger for the 1000. They had to change it.
Right. Yeah, well, I think they might have also changed it because of piracy
Could have been.
issues, so...
I don't know, but yeah, it's quite a... I had this really hard Logitech case for it as well. So, I mean, my PSP probably weighs about 2 to 3 kilos with that thing. It's pretty heavy.
It turns into like a weapon at that
Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
That case is pretty durable, too. You can chuck it pretty hard and protects the PSP pretty well.
Goodness.
Now, one thing, I don't really like the sleekness of the system. Like, sometimes I found like it was a little bit... the sleekness made it a little bit easy to drop. Like, if you weren't careful sometimes, like if you were playing and it was really hot, let's say, and your hands were a little sweaty, it wasn't really comfortable in that sense. If you're just playing it and you're in a normal room temperature, no problem if you're sitting down. But if you're standing on a subway or something, I'm kind of like, whoa, it's a little bit glossy, and it's not that tailored to be in your hand for a long time, I guess. Gets a little hot if the UMD's in there for a long time.
Got to talcum your hands there.
Maybe. I always notice too that the memory stick gets quite warm if you're playing any sort of PlayStation game off of there. It gets pretty hot.
See, I've never actually really noticed that.
Mm.
But I agree with you. It is a bit too sleek in a way, because if you are clumsy with it, you can drop it.
Oh yeah, it gets dense pretty easily, and
which it's a bit of a I guess negative towards it, especially compared to the DS, because that thing it's kind of like a turtle you can just drop.
Oh, it's incredibly durable.
Shell kind of thing to it.
Except for the connection between the two screens. I've seen that break in many DSs.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, just kind of like overall, because it has that flip to it, you're not worried about scuffing up your
screens at
screen,
least.
Yeah.
Especially with the PSP, because if you throw your PSP in a pocket and then you have that your keys in that same pocket,
Coins or something,
or coins or something, it's pretty likely that you'll end up with some marks and scuffs up.
I want to see the person who would do that. Because then I'd go to them and say, you don't deserve your PSP. Give it here.
No more PSP for you.
No.
Oh, goodness.
But, you were saying for recommendations?
Yes, yeah, recommendations for the PSP. What would be some recommendations you would throw out there? If somebody's like, hey, Greg, I'm really looking into buying a PSP. Could you tell me which games I should buy for it?
Settle down there, chap. Settle down. Of course,
I'm really excited.
Very, very easily, lots of great RPGs on the system. I've always said that it was a portable renaissance of RPGs. It was a really good time. And if you're an RPG fan, a Japanese RPG fan, it was definitely the system you had to own. Besides all the Falcom games, Square Enix, I thought, put out a lot of great games. I will say this now, I love Crisis Core. It's probably one of the greatest games that Square Enix released for the system in a very long time. I also like Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. That was a really good game that ran fantastically on the PSP. Really, really, really good. What's the other one? And a lot of great 2.5D games on there, like Ultimate Ghosts and Goblins.
Yeah.
Really, really, really cool version of it. I really love it. Because I've already mentioned Dracula X Chronicles. I actually like that version. A few people actually don't like it. And to them I say you can unlock Rondo of Blood and just play it on your PSP. But for me, I actually liked Dracula X Chronicles. It looked amazing on the PSP. So I really liked that. What else is there? Because I didn't play any shmups on there. I keep talking. There's a few people I know that are shmup hardcore fans, and they love the PSP because there was just so many shmups that just got bombarded on the PSP. But yeah, mainly RPG. It did cater to a lot of old school sort of genre types. I would definitely say that, because I noticed there's a lot more 2D games. There's still a few I want to play, like Hammering Hero is a game I haven't played yet, but I really want to play it on the PSP. Really quirky, cool games like that. I know there's a lot, but that's pretty much my brain's generating right now. But there's a lot more to it than just that. And in I can easily say Black Rock Shooter is a good game, but the battle system's very weird. But once you understand it, you will love it.
So, Sushi, what are some recommendations for the PSP? Sushi, I want to buy a PSP. What game should I get? Go.
You should get some breaking news. Hello, I'm always speaking with broad sweeping statements.
And I'm terribly hungry.
And we have some breaking news for you. We hope you're tuned into this because the ultimate magic potion has been lost. Once again, the ultimate magic potion has been lost.
It's terrible, terrible news. However, we do have somebody on the scene. We have Dr. Zaius. Dr. Zaius, do you hear us?
This is Dr. Zaius here.
Now, what can you tell us about this ultimate potion?
This ultimate potion has so many possibilities that humankind cannot understand.
Now I understand that the ultimate magic potion has been lost forever.
I bet a human stole it. That is the only logical conclusion that I can get. And obviously a human who likes guns a lot.
Now, do you have any possible idea what this ultimate magic potion could have been?
Well, dear chap, it could have raised your intellect. It could have, put more chair in your house. Maybe put more growth in places that didn't have much before. There could have been hundreds of possibilities. I'd like to hold out the fact that it could have turned those damn humans into more like us. Fantastic simians.
Now, Doctor, just how ultimate is the ultimate magic potion?
As ultimate as your mind allows it to be, my dear fellow.
Now, as a man of science and of God, well, I guess not a man, but as a person of science and a person of God, would you say that this ultimate magic potion will allow you to be one with God?
Depends on your definition of God, my dear fellow.
Now, Doctor, just exactly what color was the magic potion that has been lost?
Well, from what I tell, the ultimate potion is so amazing that it will change color depending on what your mind is thinking at the time. Truly ingenious.
So you're saying it has kind of like one of those mood ring kind of things. So if I'm feeling a little blue, it's going to show me blue.
Yes, my assistant, of course, wasn't very, very happy at the time, and I think he looked a tiny bit constipated, so it turned brown.
Now, do you think Cornelius might have had something to do with it being lost?
You bring up a good point. I might have to look into it later.
Now, Doctor, do we know of the exact time frame that this ultimate magic potion could have been lost forever?
It was lost, I think, about 10 minutes ago. So literally you must have found the news quite soon, like instantaneously. I must applaud you for your fast work there.
Don't think us. Think Time Ninja.
Now, Doctor, what are some of the components that are inside the magic potion, if you can delve into that at all?
Well, I think I got one ingredient just as I picked my nose. There's also, I have heard the tears of a man is also needed for the potion. And if I remember correctly, a lot of banana peels, yes. And if I'm correctly, a chip off the Statue of Liberty was also used to make the potion as well. The rest of the sequence is a mystery.
Well, thank you, Doctor. Is there anything else you can tell us about the potion to keep our listeners and viewers on their wits about possibly spotting this ultimate magic potion?
Yes. If I remember the gourd, it looked like it was a round, long vial with two great openings down the middle.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Zaius.
Oh, thank you, good. I'm presuming you're both apes?
Yeah,
you could say that.
Good. Because if you were dirty humans, it would have been a different side of things.
Right.
Once again, thank you, Dr. Zaius. So, you heard it first here, that the ultimate magic potion has been lost. Once again, the ultimate magic potion has been lost forever! I'm always speaking with broad, sweeping generalizations.
And I'm terribly hungry.
Thank you for listening, and now back to regularly scheduled program.
So yeah, Sushi, what recommendations do you have for the PSP there?
I mean, there's a ton. Greg brought up a lot of those collections. I think if you wanted to start there, that's a really good starting point. Maybe if you have any sort of affiliations or history with some older games on the Genesis or Capcom arcade games or anything, you could always take a look at those. Would be a really good starting point for sure. Of course, look at the PSN. I mean, again, that's really good point to start from, because if you played any old PlayStation 1 games or have not and would like to try them, they're really great on the PSP. If I really had to point out some specific PSP games, there was Luminous was a pretty good sort of puzzle game that came out right when it originally was launched. Half Minute Hero was a really good and interesting game that didn't get a lot of press or fanfare, which is unfortunate, but a very different game, very fun.
Definitely unique.
Yeah, really fun game. The two God of War games are good. I mean, I don't want to go into too many of the other games that, Taylor, you and I have done on some of the portables like E7, Loco Roco. Patapon could be one to look into as well. Valkyria Chronicles 2. I mean, there's just a lot of things. It's a very, very large library of games that offer a lot of different things to different gamers.
One I just remembered that I think it's universally loved by the Final Fantasy community, and that's Dissidia. I actually really, really, really like Dissidia. It's probably one of the best crossover games I've ever played, and it's done really well. It's exclusive just to the PSP. It's definitely worth getting. And warning, 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 do not buy both games. Do not buy both games. Just go buy Duodecim and that's it, because the events of the original are put into Duodecim. Duodecim's just basically Dissidia 1.5. So,
bastards.
Yeah, I lost my cool when I found that out.
Yeah, I did too. I was not thrilled, but I think Dissidia is a fun game. So
it is.
If you like kind of a 3D fighting with some of your favorite Final Fantasy characters, Sans 5, of course, definitely give it a go.
The only problem I had with Duodecim is this wasn't enough Kane. I wanted more Kane.
Raising Kane.
Some ones that I would throw out, you that had mentioned before, it's definitely good for getting into those older games that you might not have had a chance to play. That's how I got into playing Suikoden 1 and 2. It's how I could have done the PC route, but I opted to play Trails, like all the Trails games on the PSP. Heck, you have like FC, SC, the third, Nayuta, and both Ao and Zero no Kiseki. You have 6 Kiseki games on the PSP. That is delicious. That is some really, really wonderful, wonderful, happy go time. Sushi, I'm going to disagree with you about Valkyria Chronicles 2, because personally I don't like it. I'd rather just play the first one. And the third one, unfortunately, that never made it out of Japan.
Right.
And personally, I don't like that one much either. But
I don't mind Valkyria Chronicles 2. It just gets a violent difficulty curve, like 70% of the game.
Right.
I don't know, just the setting and stuff. But if you're into that kind of thing, definitely give it a go. It's
an exclusive.
It's an exclusive, right? So, personally, I've always really liked playing Peace Walker. Not portable ops after you got Peace Walker, because then you could kind of alter the buttons in a way that would make it easier to play portable ops. Definitely, those games are really fun to play. I love playing them on the PSP.
I like the gameplay of both. I definitely say Peace Walker had the better, well-written story.
Controls.
Oh
yeah.
I mean, a lot of people pan Portable Ops' story, but I actually like it. I mean, it's not the best Metal Gear story, but it's decent.
It's decent. Something, I don't know if it ever came out. I think it did, but another really cool thing that they did for the PSP is they have for the original Metal Gear Solid, is they have that storybook style of it, so it's in all that
The digital novel.
Yeah, as a digital novel, it's got a special name to it. I can't quite remember.
Oh, what is it? Yeah.
It's kind of a weird name for it, but holy crap! Yeah, you're not really doing that much in it, but is it just cool to look at or what?
Yeah,
Kind of thing.
absolutely.
So definitely, it was also nice. Greg, you had mentioned Tales of Fantasia. It's on there. However, they also kind of revamped Nutty Kitty Dungeon,
Which was on the
which is
GBA.
like, yeah,
No,
and
not
that's
GBA, sorry, GBC.
well, yeah, the Game Boy Color. But it's not very. I never really got into that one, and it looks a little bit more updated than every. Well, of course, it looks a little bit more updated, but it is nice to actually go through it and whatnot. I personally, I will stick by it until forever. But I actually like the Third Birthday. Maybe some people aren't too keen on it. It's just nice to kind of go back into Parasite Eve. Yeah, it's a bit different. it's a whole lot of different and whatnot, but it's just kind of cool to get back into it. And if you're not a big RPG fan and you want something that's it's a third person shooter kind of thing, so I really enjoyed playing it.
Exclusive.
And it's exclusive. So and E7 of course. I mean that goes without
Exclusive.
saying. Exclusive.
Be exclusive.
Exclusive. But yeah, so those are definitely a couple that come to mind. I personally, as I look over all the games that I have for the PSP, I have a lot of kind of ports and stuff. So that's kind of where if I missed playing the game on the PlayStation, which is generally the case, I definitely had have a chance to kind of play through it now and whatnot. So, or if it, if I just for whatever reason. So, and it's cheap, so definitely buy PSP forever. Go now, play. Okay, thanks, bye.
I actually recalled one of the reasons why I got rid of my original PSP, and this is a sad part of the PSP, and let's go into some cancelled games. There wasn't really much cancelled games. There was one that I was really, really, really looking forward to. And,
Can I guess, Greg?
Yes.
I think I might know what it is. I'm not sure.
I have an idea.
Is it
what
Grand Knight's History?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
I know exactly.
but that's one of them. So Sushi brought up one of them, and a lot of people were not happy about that. But I think XC kind of said their piece that they, it just didn't work out between them and Vanillaware. So.
Can I guess?
Yes.
It's Dogi's Birthday Bash.
No.
Birthday Suit Edition.
Oh man. Well, I don't.
No, it's that AKB48 special pack. There was 2 of them, wasn't there?
I didn't want to know how Dogi crushes walls in that game.
He crushes walls and balls.
Sadly, again, Sega dropped the ball big time. My favorite games of all time on the Mega Drive, Landstalker was going to get a remake on the PSP. And I even saw a build of one of the towns remade, and I thought, oh, this is going to look amazing. Never happened, and I think that was probably one of the final straw for me selling my first PSP. The first thing was that I got Valkyria Profile, and I just fell off the wagon, and every PSP game I bought for the system, I just, I was just more interested in other systems at the time. And then when I heard the news that Landstalker got cancelled, I was like, you know what? I'll sell my PSP. And I think that was it was either like a year or just, year and a bit before I got Metal Gear Portable Ops and another PSP. But man, seeing what Sega did, it looked like a really good game. I mean, they didn't show any sprites or anything, but just seeing the town, and you can move the town in 360 directions while still in the bird's eye view, just looked amazing. And I just think that was one of the worst. I mean, there's a list. There's a list of things Sega's done wrong. That's definitely high on there. But,
probably a very long list at that.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm still sort of half and half. I still love... It's the nostalgia of Sega that keeps me happy with them, but it's stuff like that always puts them in the doghouse as well. But man, could you imagine if it did come out on the PSP? Oh, it could have had updated music, there could have been voiceover. It would have been so good.
Yeah, it definitely would have been nice.
And as I mentioned before, Mega Man Legends apparently was considered for English, but got cancelled, and so did Suikoden 1 and 2. So, yeah, in English as well. But yeah, not to have a downer on the PSP. Let's switch it back.
I think that's about it. I don't know if I want to really say much of anything else there.
No, I'm pretty good. I think we covered a lot there. So.
I think we can just say finally, if you do want to get a PSP,
They're cheap.
yeah, but in Europe there's the street model, and they've actually, I think, from what I've heard, it's not a good model to get. It is extremely cheap, but they do take out a few parts, like they use mono speakers instead of stereo. What else is there? There's something else taken out, and it just makes the thing less. I don't know. I haven't got one, and by the sound of things, I don't want to get one. But if you can get a 3000, definitely get a 3000.
For sure. I would definitely second that. Get a PSP, get games, play them, do it now. And if you do have a PSP and you love PSP, tell us what kind of games you love for the PSP. Tell us now! Anything else? Oh, I guess I should. If you do not have this for the PSP, even though it is a Japanese-only game and it'll drive you bonkers trying to play it, you gotta play Itadaki Street, Dragon Quest, Cross Final Fantasy. That's it. Sushi, anything else?
No, like I said, I think we covered everything we needed to. So please, if you have not played the PSP and you are thinking about giving it a chance, definitely give it a chance. And if you have, as Taylor said, throw some recommendations at us. Maybe we can find some new gems.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely. If you've got some that would be good to try out there, definitely let us know.
And if you only can afford 2 games, make sure it's these 7 Trails in the Sky.
Okay, so what should we do then? Dudes? Should we do a games or should we party hardy and do alleged comedy?
I have something we could potentially do for alleged comedy.
All right.
And it's something new.
Ooh, it's something new. Break it on.
It is the acronym, Attacronym.
I'm already lost.
Starting off the wrong foot, but try it again. Take 2.
So anyways, I've got a little acronym game here where I've got a little case here with some names of games inside. And I was thinking I'll pull out 1 or 2 or 3, depending how it's going. And maybe we can try to change the acronym of that game into funny words. So for example, we could start with the PSP and you could try to come up with the most disgusting or funny way of changing PSP from PlayStation Portable to ... whatever you think is funny.
I see.
Are you guys game for that, or you want to do something else?
Bring it on! Sure. I'm down for it.
I get
down like the killer clown from outer space.
Oh, Santa Claus versus the Martians.
Have yourself there, Mr. Swagmans.
I'm having a dead brain moment. I'm trying to, this may sound incredibly sad, reestablish what the acronym means.
Well, like an acronym, like USA.
I've got a Wikipedia open. Abbreviation. There we go. That's what I thought. I get acronyms and abbreviations mixed up.
Well, abbreviations, yeah, abbreviations. We just shorten the word. Instead of calling you RPG Swag, I'm calling you Swag. Or Swaggies. Or Swaggles.
Oh god. Swaggles? Ugh. Me wants to throw up.
Yes. Alright, lay it on us, Sushi. Bring us, what is this?
Well, the first one, why don't we try PSP, since that's what we were talking about today.
Okay, alright.
Pig suck and pervert.
Okay, now I understand the game. Whenever you explain the game, I have no idea. Someone has to
Greg
give
knows
the example.
all about pig suck and perverts. He's like, now I get it.
Oh, dear. Oh dear. It's always the thing. You explain the game.
Oh, damn it, Greg! I lost it.
Pencil-shaped penis. Portly sausage picker.
Pooping something phallic.
Pigsty panties.
Poop streak panties.
Powerful, swift penis.
Project Sexual Pervert.
Phone sex power. Ooh. Progressively succulent pimp.
Pimpalicious super pad.
Pawn shop pimple.
Progressive shady porno.
Pound some people.
Simple but effective.
Play. Suck. Pose.
Please stop playing.
Please start playing. Please suck progressively.
Powerful suction pull.
What do you guys say we change it up?
Change it up.
All right, so I've got a list of games in here. Let's see what we pull out. And we've got Jade Empire. So J and E.
Jesus Christ.
It's going to be a tough one.
No, that's JC.
Jade Empire?
No. Taylor said Jesus Christ. I said, no, that's JC.
Caught with your pants down.
Pants on the ground, looking like a fool with pants on. Okay. Jack Earnestly.
Ooh.
Jello eating.
Juicy earwax. Jumbo enema.
I seriously think you can't get any dirtier than that. Jedi effect?
Jumping elephants.
Ooh.
Japanese enigma? It's hard to be dirty with J and E. I think you guys kind of covered it already.
Yeah, it's a tough one. All right, let's move along. Next we got here. This isn't going to be much better, so I'm not going to do that one. Do you want to know what it was?
Please tell.
Fire Emblem.
Oh.
What? Effie, you can
Effie,
totally
you do Effie?
fuck everything.
All right.
Yes.
There you go, Fire Emblem then.
Fearsome eloping.
Oh.
Fart enormous.
Fecal excrement.
Yeah.
Ooh. Facial extreme.
Fearsome erection.
Forced entrance.
Flimsy exit.
Fiery eruption.
Fake eye.
Forced entropy.
Fickle emotions.
Formidable entanglement.
Funneling erosion.
Random one. Furious emu. Because most emus here in Australia are furious.
They're pretty rough.
That sounded a bit wrong.
Faked ending.
Fuck eternally. You guys want to move on, or?
Sure, moving on.
All right, how many more you guys want to do?
Forever.
It's a long time. What about maybe just two more?
A few more, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Here we go. The next one we have here. There are a few in here that have three. I'd like to pull one of those if possible.
I bet you would.
Oh, and that's the next winner. Next one we have here is Devil May Cry. DMC.
Dropping my cock.
Oh.
No, I can't say that one.
Yet be mindful about one of the letters.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm guessing it's the third letter.
saying it. Drilling mom's clit.
Oh.
I
Might as well go dirty, messy plats. Oh, you think I was going to say another C word, huh?
Don't mind Carl.
Dangerous-minded cowboy.
Dancing mad cucumber.
Oh.
Dinosaur
Dickless monocle cyclops.
Dinosaur munching crab. Draped mysterious courtesan.
Don't mind cock.
Dookie made cup.
Don't mate cows.
Dastardly meticulous civilian. Dump my coke.
Dreaming monstrous corruptions.
Dick man can.
Dirty mole cream.
Dark muffin chef.
Druids made calmly.
Dick might come. All right, one more here.
Last one.
All right, let's do one more. And the final one here will be... We have Mass Effect for the last one here. So another E.
A lot of E's there. Jesus
There's a lot of
Christ.
All right, would you like to pass that one then, maybe?
Pass that
Let's
one.
not do that one then. All right, we've definitely done a lot of E's. So. All right, let's give this one a shot here.
We've done a lot of these that we should be bouncing off the walls.
Here we go. Heavy Rain. HR.
Herniated rectum.
Hemorrhoid relief.
Horrible racist.
Oh. Helpful raccoon.
Oh. Horny rabbit. Human renaissance. Hard rubbin'. Hole runner.
Humongous rubber.
Helpin' Reuben.
Harmless rhubarb. Hard rump.
A game shout out. Hardcore last stand.
Hairy revengeance.
Hellacious radish.
Humping woefully.
Ooh.
Humorously rude.
Mm.
Horned ring.
Horny rash.
Hideous rectum.
There you go. Horse rectum.
Rectum. Time to kill.
No, what
Oh, goodness.
do you guys think there? Shut her down?
Shut her down. Shut
All
her
right.
down.
Oh,
down,
yeah.
down.
All right.
So yes, PSP episode. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. And thanks for listening. If you do have any comments and whatnot, definitely put them down below or let us know. We appreciate any sort of kind of feedback. The end.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening, guys, and have a good day.